top U.S. drug agency, a notable holdout in Biden's push to loosen federal marijuana restrictions. In an isolated part of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration headquarters, known as the 12th floor bubble, Chief Ann Milgram made an unusual request of top deputies summoned in March for what she called the marijuana meeting. Nobody could take notes. Over the next half hour, she broke the news that the Biden administration would soon be issuing a long-awaited order reclassifying pot as a less dangerous drug, a major hurdle toward federal legalization that the DEA has long resisted. And Milgram went on to reveal another twist. According to two people familiar with the private meeting who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity, that the process normally steered by the DEA had been taken over by the U.S. Justice Department, and the action would not be signed by her, but by Attorney General Merrick Garland. Milgram didn't give aides a reason for the unprecedented omission, and neither she nor the DEA has explained since. But it unfolded this past week exactly as laid out in that meeting 2 months ago, with the most significant drug policy change in 50 years launched without the support of the nation's premier narcotics agency. DEA has not yet made a determination as to its views of the appropriate schedule for marijuana, reads a sentence tucked 13 pages into Garland's 92-page order last Thursday, outlining the Biden administration proposal to shift pot from its current Schedule 1 alongside heroin and LSD to the less tightly regulated Schedule 3 with such drugs as ketamine and some anabolic steroids. Internal records accompanying the order indicate the DEA sent a memo to the Justice Department in late January, seeking additional scientific input to determine whether marijuana has accepted medicinal use, a key requirement for reclassification, but those concerns were overruled by Justice Department's attorneys who deemed the DEA's criteria impermissibly narrow. Several current and former DEA officials told the AP they believe politics may be at play, imagine, contending the Justice Department is moving forward with the marijuana reclassification because President Joe Biden wants to use the issue to woo voters in his re-election campaign. Imagine. And wasn't willing to give the DEA time for more studies that likely would have dragged beyond Election Day. Those officials also noted that while the Controlled Substances Act grants the Attorney General responsibility for regulating the sale of dangerous drugs, federal law still delegates the authority to classify drugs to the DEA administrator. It's crystal clear to me that the Justice Department hijacked the rescheduling process, placing politics above public safety, said Derek Maltz, a retired agent who once headed the DEA's Special Operations Division. If there's scientific evidence to support this decision, then so be it, but you've got to let the scientists evaluate it. Former DEA Administrator Tim Shea said the striking absence of Milgram's sign-off suggests she was backing the DEA professionals. If she had supported it, she would have signed it and sent it in, said Shea, who served in the Trump administration. DEA was opposed to this, and the politics entered and overruled them. It's demoralizing. Everybody from the agents in the streets to the leadership in the DEA knows the dangers this brings. The White House did not respond to a request for comment, but Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre previously said Biden was committed to fulfilling a 2020 campaign promise. He said no person, no American who possesses marijuana should go to jail. It is affecting communities across the country, including communities of color. That's the vote he's trying to buy. Justice Department attorneys defended Garland's decision to proceed without Milgram's backing, saying in a separate memo that the action was prompted by sharply different views between DEA and the Department of Health and Human Services. The HHS last year recommended reclassifying marijuana, deeming it less risky to public health than cocaine, heroin, and oxycodone, and effective in treating anorexia, pain, and other ailments. HHS concluded in part that although abuse of marijuana produces clear evidence of a risk to public health, that risk is relatively lower than that posed by other drugs. The DEA balked at those findings, and Garland's order cites at least 10 times when the drug agency requested additional information before blessing HHS's medical findings. It did not respond to AP questions seeking for further comment. The Justice Department didn't comment on internal differences, but in a statement said that the proposal was consistent with scientific and medical determinations of HHS. The department added it was legally required to follow HHS's scientific and medical findings that marijuana should be reclassified, at least until the start of the rulemaking process. The dissonance within the federal government underscores the continuing debate over those risks posed by cannabis, even as 38 states have legalized medical marijuana and 24 have legalized its recreational use. All the while, more voters, 70% of adults, according to a Gallup poll last fall, support legalization, the highest level yet recorded by the polling firm. The argument that marijuana is as dangerous as fentanyl, cocaine, and meth is laughable, said Matthew Seaborn, a Houston-based attorney who writes a newsletter on cannabis regulation. The DEA isn't where most Americans are. They are standing on the wrong side of history. But even HHS, we're going to go back. Jason, you only sent me part of it.
No, I didn't. That's not true.
I know, I had to get down to it. Big buddy. No, I lost my place.
Oh, geez.
I know, I had to open back up. Not bad, dude.
Just blame it that you're on south of the equator.
I'm blaming it on south of the equator. Got it. Here we go. The DEA isn't where most Americans are. They're standing on the wrong side of history. But even HHS, National Institute on Drug Abuse, has come out with statements in apparent conflict with HHS's recommendation to reclassify pot, saying the potency of marijuana has been steadily increasing over the years, resulting in higher numbers of emergency room visits to treat a wide range of physical and mental effects, from breathing problems and mental impairment to hallucinations and paranoia. Where that weed at? Whether smoking or otherwise, consuming marijuana has therapeutic benefits that outweigh its health risks is still an open question that science has not resolved. Nora Volko, a neuroscientist who leads NIDA, is currently quoted as saying on the Institute's website. An NIDA spokesperson said rescheduling would facilitate research more into the drug. The NIDA last performed a medical evaluation of marijuana in 2015, a year before the Obama administration's DEA rejected a similar request to reschedule the drug. This time, after Biden ordered a review of the drug status in 2022, HHS adopted new criteria to reach its rescheduling conclusion, taking into account the states that have already legalized medical marijuana. The rescheduling move, first reported by the AP last month, faces a potentially lengthy process. The DEA, which must show significant difference to HHS's medical determinations, according to Justice Department attorneys, will now take public comment on the rescheduling plan before a review by an administrative judge and the publishing of a final rule. Federal prosecutions involving marijuana are already exceedingly rare, but a Schedule III classification would still make pot a controlled substance subject to rules and regulations. For her part, Milgram has said little about her stance on marijuana and was not asked about it during her confirmation. When she took the helm of the agency in 2021, she privately told colleagues she considered the legalization debate a distraction from far more serious fentanyl crisis, according to one of the people who spoke to the AP. Milgram is known for a progressive, data-driven approach to law enforcement, dating to her days as the Democratic Attorney General of New Jersey, when the state's governor, a close ally, signed a bill in 2010 making the state the 14th to make marijuana legal for medical purposes. She said only that the legislation was workable. This past week, she was similarly opaque in a 3-sentence announcement to DEA employees obtained by the AP. As required, she wrote, "The DEA will post this notice and all attachments on our website." Jason, I want to hear what you think about this little political stunt.
I love this. I love this thing. I love all of this. Okay, and I was actually typing something for the chat that is basically exactly how I feel, and it's but basically. This is why I love this so much, is that they got everybody all excited about this Schedule III, and it's going to move forward, and then you have the DEA, the chief, saying, "Hey, you know what? I didn't sign off on that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not feeling this." And so I think that she is setting it up so then that way it can actually not happen as far as getting rescheduled and remain as a Schedule I drug. And they're going to use the excuse that it won't make it through the 5-question process that HHS has in regards. So basically, you have to be able to reduplicate it perfectly every time, and that's part of their criteria. And so this is going to give them the whole scapegoat to just drop the whole thing and leave it as Schedule I, which I hope they do.
I agree, and I think it's also going to say, "Oh no, Biden failed this time, but he's going to pass it through, so let's give him another time."
We have more work to do.
Guys, please don't.
We have more work to do.
Yet.
The work isn't done yet.
I freed no one, but I'm doing it.
Exactly.
I promise.
The DEA is going to be the turd in the punch bowl here, and they have been all along. When I read the Justice Department's attorney's evaluation of this, they were clear that HHS has their part in this, Once they turn this over to the DEA does not have to follow any of the findings of HHS.
Exactly.
Which tells me that we're right back into that clusterfuck we've been in since 1971 or whatever it was they got set up, is that the administrative law routine here, this runaround, is going to follow the same track. We're going to force you to take us to court at every step of the way. And in the final analysis, everyone's going to give up and walk away from this because the DEA doesn't want this to happen. The problem when you have cops in charge of drugs, you don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
Ask them some of their opinions, but don't put them in policy-making positions. And this is just going to be a continuing runaround. And the trap is going to just, eat their cowbell. This is great, guys. This is great.
Yeah. Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Fair enough. Fair.
I think the DEA is like scrambling for a reason to even exist.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did
And
Saman drop?
I think the lone positive, if y'all Republicans, I can say y'all now because we got two, outwardly spoken. Positive,
Fiscal conservative, social moderate.
Yeah.
take back control is getting rid of these agencies, defunding some of these agencies. It starts with the DEA.
Exactly.
I mean, I think this is just also interesting. And I think a lot of you guys did your little dances and crying on Instagram posts way too soon, huh? Because, I don't want to see a reschedule. I really do want this to fail. And I think that'd be incredible. I want to see a full deschedule because I don't know if you guys are aware, but who do you have to buy Vicodin and ketamine from? Because it's not MedMen. So maybe let's think about voting our own best interest and some of the implications that could come with some of these policies.
Exactly.
Because we are very well known for following the shiny object. Oh, they're going to do something with cannabis. Oh, they're going to do something with this social policy. No, the fuck they're not. And if you're voting for it, you don't even understand totally how to vote your own best interest. So listen, stop listening to people who are idiots and are just loud. The internet has given way too many people a voice. And I'm sorry not to be an asshole, but some people should shut up.